January 22nd, 2006. Police pull back the bed covers in a silent Massachusetts home and find a young mother and her 9-month-old baby shot to death in bed together. The husband? He's already mid-flight over the Atlantic Ocean, claiming he has no idea what happened. But investigators are about to uncover something far more sinister than a simple tragedy. This is the story of the perfect family that was never perfect at all, and the web of lies that ended in murder. To understand how this happened, we need to go back to where it all began and who Rachel Souza really was. Rachel Merrick Souza grew up in Carver, Massachusetts, in a close-knit family. Her mother, Priscilla Matarazzo, and stepfather, Joseph Matarazzo, raised her with strong values and an emphasis on education. In the late 1990s, Rachel made a decision that would change everything. She chose to study abroad at the University of York in England. In 1999, she met Neil Entwistle, a British student studying electronic engineering. Charming, polite, well-spoken, to Rachel, he seemed like the real deal. Ladies, how many of us have watched our daughters fall in love in college, absolutely certain they've found the one? Rachel believed in Neil completely. On August 23rd, 2003, they married in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It was beautiful. Rachel was radiant. Her family welcomed Neil with open arms. After living in England initially, the couple moved to Massachusetts in 2005 to be closer to Rachel's family. They rented a gorgeous colonial home in Hopkinton, more house than they could really afford. But Neil assured Rachel everything was fine. He told her he was working as a computer consultant, making good money. And on April 21st, 2005, their daughter Lillian Rose was born. Rachel was overjoyed. She documented every precious moment with thousands of photographs. From the outside, the Entwistles were perfect. A beautiful young family in a beautiful home. But behind those closed doors, Neil Entwistle was living a double life. And when Rachel started asking questions, he made a choice that would destroy everything. What Rachel didn't know was that almost everything Neil had told her was a lie. Neil wasn't a successful consultant. He barely worked at all. Instead, he was running sophisticated eBay scams, listing expensive electronics, collecting payment, and never shipping the products. He was selling a $13 manual promising people they could make $6,000 a month with get-rich-quick schemes. He spent his days in front of a computer, creating fraudulent listings and bogus business ventures, while Rachel was upstairs caring for their infant daughter, believing her husband was building their future. But even these scams weren't generating enough money. By January 2006, the Entwistles were drowning in debt. They had virtually no income. They owed thousands in back rent and were facing eviction. Credit cards were maxed out. Utilities were about to be shut off. The beautiful house? They couldn't afford a single month more. Rachel started asking difficult questions about their finances. She was worried, stressed. Her family noticed the change in her. And this is critical. Financial abuse is real abuse. When a partner hides money, lies about income, racks up secret debt, that's manipulation and control. If you don't have access to your own family's financial information, that's a red flag the size of Texas. Rachel was starting to see through the facade. And for Neil Entwistle, that questioning made her dangerous. So he started planning. And what investigators would find on his computer would prove this was no accident. In the days before the murders, Neil's internet search history revealed something chilling. He had been Googling how to kill people, quick kill, instructions for shooting someone in the head. He researched methods and techniques while Rachel played with Lillian downstairs, completely unaware. On January 20th, 2006, a Friday morning, Neil took a gun from his father-in-law's home. Joseph Matarazzo kept a .22 caliber handgun in a locked container. Neil had taken it without permission days earlier. That morning, Neil went upstairs to the master bedroom where Rachel was lying in bed with 9-month-old Lillian. He shot Rachel in the head as she lay beside their baby daughter. Then he shot Lillian Rose, a 9-month-old child, just beginning to babble, to smile, to experience the world. He shot her while she lay next to her mother's body. After killing his wife and infant daughter, Neil didn't call 911. He didn't break down. He covered their bodies with bed covers, making it look like they were sleeping. Then he walked out of the house, drove to the airport, and boarded a plane to England. Think about that coldness. Booking a flight, going through security, sitting on a plane for hours, all while his wife and baby daughter lay dead in their bed. This wasn't passion. This was calculation. Rachel talked to her mother Priscilla every single day. So when Priscilla didn't hear from her daughter, she knew immediately something was wrong. Mothers know. That instinct is real, and we need to trust it. Priscilla tried calling Rachel repeatedly. No answer. She called Neil's cell phone. He answered briefly, claiming everything was fine, that Rachel and the baby were just sleeping, but something in his voice was off. By the weekend, with still no contact, the Matarazzo family drove to Hopkinton. No one answered the door. The house was dark. They called the police. On January 22nd, 2006, 2 days after the murders, police entered the home for a welfare check. They searched the house. The master bedroom appeared empty, the bed neatly made. Then an officer pulled back the covers. Rachel and Lillian were there, lying together. Rachel's arm was around her baby. Even in death, she was protecting her child. Both had been shot in the head. The officer who discovered them said it was the most heartbreaking scene of his career. Meanwhile, Neil Entwistle was in England, claiming he had no idea what happened. But investigators were about to dismantle every lie he'd ever told. When British police questioned Neil at his parents' home, his story was absurd. He claimed he'd come home to find Rachel and Lillian dead, assumed it was a murder-suicide, panicked, and fled to England. He wanted people to believe that a loving mother with no history of violence or mental illness had killed her baby and herself, and his response was to cover their bodies and flee the country without telling anyone, not one person. Investigators didn't buy it for a second. The physical evidence was devastating. The murder weapon was Joseph Matarazzo's .22 caliber gun, the one Neil had secretly taken. Ballistics matched. The internet searches about killing people were on Neil's computer, conducted just days before the murders. Cell phone records and witness statements placed Neil at the house during the murders and showed him driving to Boston Logan Airport immediately after. There was no mystery intruder, no other suspect, just Neil. He had also searched how to kill myself and suicide methods, but never went through with it. Instead, he ran like the coward he was. On February 9th, 2006, Neil Entwistle was arrested in England and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. After an extradition battle, he was returned to Massachusetts to face justice. In June 2008, Neil Entwistle's trial began in Middlesex Superior Court. The prosecution team, led by Assistant District Attorneys Mimi Rocha and Michael Fabry, presented an overwhelming case. Their theory was clear. Neil was drowning in debt, living a double life of scams and schemes. Rachel was asking questions. The walls were closing in. Eviction, utilities being shut off, the perfect image crumbling. Rather than face the truth, he chose to eliminate the problem. The evidence was staggering. The gun, the internet searches showing premeditation, financial records showing desperation, the timeline, the complete absence of any other explanation. Rachel's mother, Priscilla, sat through every day of that trial, listening to how her daughter and granddaughter died, looking at the man she'd welcomed into her family. The defense argued the case was circumstantial, that there was no direct witness. They even suggested Rachel had killed Lillian and herself, a theory so insulting it required the jury to ignore every piece of evidence and common sense. Neil never testified. His lawyers knew his story wouldn't survive cross-examination. On June 25, 2008, after more than 14 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Guilty of first-degree murder of Rachel Souza. Guilty of first-degree murder of Lillian Rose Entwistle. Neil Entwistle was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He's currently serving his sentence at MCY Shirley in Massachusetts, where he will die behind bars. But that verdict doesn't bring Rachel and Lillian back. It doesn't heal the wound in the Matarazzo family's hearts. So what do we do with this story? How do we honor their memory? I'm sharing Rachel's story not to traumatize you, but because the lessons here could save someone's life. Maybe even someone you love. First, financial transparency is non-negotiable. If your partner is secretive about money, if you don't have access to accounts, if questions are deflected, that's a major red flag. Rachel trusted Neil to handle their finances. That trust was weaponized against her. Second, pay attention when the story doesn't add up. Neil's lifestyle never matched his supposed income. The beautiful house, the vague job explanations, the inconsistencies, these were signs something was wrong. Third, the most dangerous time is when you start to question. Statistics show women are most at risk when they try to leave or demand accountability. This doesn't mean stay silent. It means be smart. Document everything. Tell people you trust. Create a safety plan. Fourth, trust your mother's intuition. Priscilla knew something was wrong when she couldn't reach Rachel. She didn't wait or second-guess herself. She called police immediately. If you're a mother and something feels off about your daughter's relationship, speak up. Have the hard conversation. And if you're a daughter and your mother is expressing concerns, please listen. She has life experience. She's seen patterns. Her concerns come from love, not control. Finally, shame and secrets are dangerous. Neil's entire life was built on lies. The scams, the debt, the inability to provide. Rather than admit the truth and ask for help, he chose murder. We need a culture where people can be vulnerable about failure without feeling worthless. That doesn't excuse what he did. Nothing excuses murdering your wife and baby, but it points to toxic patterns about masculinity and shame that we need to address. Rachel Merrick Souza would be 48 years old today. Lillian Rose would be turning 21 this year, perhaps in college, full of dreams like her mother once was. Instead, they were stolen from this world on a cold January morning by someone who had vowed to protect them. The Matarazzo family established the Rachel Entwistle and Lillian Rose Memorial Fund, supporting domestic violence prevention and family services. They've shared Rachel's story countless times because they know it might save someone else. And that's why I'm telling it today. Because somewhere right now, there's a woman being lied to about finances, a daughter whose mother is worried, a young mother who senses something isn't right but doesn't trust her instincts. If that's you, hear me. Your instincts are valid. Your questions deserve answers. Your safety matters more than keeping the peace. Your life is worth protecting, even if it means difficult conversations, even if it means ending a relationship. Rachel did everything right. She fell in love. She got married. She had a baby. She trusted her husband. And she paid for that trust with her life. That's not her fault. That's the fault of one man who chose violence over honesty. Rachel Merrick Souza was a beloved daughter and devoted mother. Lillian Rose Entwistle was an innocent child who never got to experience the world. They deserved so much better. But their story can still serve a purpose. It can make us braver about having hard conversations. It can remind us that protecting those we love sometimes means being the one who asks uncomfortable questions. To the Matarazzo family, thank you for turning your grief into advocacy. Rachel and Lillian are not forgotten. Thank you for watching GA Justice Files. If this story touched you, please share it. Education and awareness save lives. Stay safe. Trust your instincts. Ask the hard questions. You are worth protecting. Until next time.